Hi guys, it's Sam here today with Bargain Hunting Blonde, and today I'm bringing to you a chatty video about all the crazy new Chanel news that is happening, that has happened basically in the last week. And I just kind of wanted to chat with you guys about it and kind of share my feelings. And of course, I would love to know down below in the comments your guys' feelings. Also, feel free to DM me on Instagram with just kind of what's going on. So let's start with the first announcement. The first announcement was that Chanel, as of June 7th, will be going to a quota of 2 classic flaps a year per person. So like I could buy 2 classic flaps, you could buy 2 classic flaps, your husband could buy 2 classic flaps. So technically your family could get more than 2, but in general, 2 classic flaps a year. Quota system like Hermes, and that will be launching June 7th, like I said. And that is, I don't know, we'll talk about that in a second. I just want to give you guys the news, so that is the facts. So 2 classic flaps. Then the next is that Chanel will be having special stores just for VIP shoppers, and those will be only available to people who I would assume are spending a certain amount in order to be VIP, because as we know, luxury fashion houses do already kind of like classify people as like, you know, VIP, VVIP, you know, and then you get certain presents at holidays and stuff like that. So Chanel has come out with those 2 announcements in 1 week, and let's start with the first. So let's start with the 2 quota bags a year. So I think it is very, very interesting that Chanel is doing this quota system, especially because, and I have written down a whole bunch of things, so let me make sure I get all my points, but especially because in my mind, it is too late to be doing this effectively. So first off, and when this came out, I did post it on my Instagram stories. A lot of you messaged me, and I completely agree, that when you go into a Chanel boutique, there is a ton of stock of these alleged quota bags that you can look at. They have the hard to find, you know, black caviar leather with gold hardware. They have all, you know, the beige eclair. They have all the different seasonal colors. Like, people have even been able to pick up the different caramels that they came out that people were really crazy about. Like, there is not a shortage of classic flaps out there at Chanel boutiques. Maybe you might have a hard time finding one specific color at your boutique and might have to order it in, but in general, since all these price increases, it is not hard to find a classic flap. And then the flip side of that is, if you don't want to buy a classic flap in stores, you can go buy one pre-loved, and you can get them at a discount from the price in the boutiques, especially since the price increases. So yes, the pre-loved market does increase as the price increases in the boutique, but not normally to the same amount. Like, before I filmed this video, was just browsing on Fashion File, looking at classic flap prices, and seeing classic flaps in many different colors, many different leathers, you know, the lambskin versus the caviar, and seeing them for below retail in really great condition. So I think that there is not a shortage of these bags. So a quota system to me really, really doesn't make sense. If it was Hermes, where you cannot go into a store and buy these bags, and it has almost always been like that, at least for the last like 20 years, and they are more on the pre-loved market, it would make more sense. But I don't think Chanel is going to be able to get to that point, because the market is so saturated with classic flaps. Like, it is not hard to find a black classic flap, and depending on what leather you want and hardware you want and level of wear you want, it's going to vary in price, but you're still going to be able to find it. It is not going to be hard. And so I think Chanel is just like missing that their bags are not scarce, and so this doesn't really matter. And then I think another really big factor is Chanel is announcing this 2 classic flaps per person, but I think the classic flap at this point is priced too high for people to honestly care that they're limiting it to 2 a year. I know that I would not buy a classic flap brand new at this point. I don't care what color came out. I don't think the machine-made Chanel bags are worth it. I mean, lots of people have posted videos. I've personally experienced this myself, going into a store and seeing a classic flap that has a completely crooked flap, like that you can visibly see. And to me, that does not warrant the price that they are now at and how expensive they are. And they're, like I said, easy to come by, easy to find below retail on the pre-loved market. Granted, there are always exceptions to this rule, like some crazy unicorn, but in general, especially for the classic colors of the classic flap, you can find them other places besides Chanel. So to me, this is Chanel trying to be Hermes, but trying to be Hermes too late. I think if they wanted to do this, they needed to do this a long time ago, honestly. And like we have seen with other Chanel quotas, Chanel really does not enforce these evenly. They let a lot of people and a lot of resellers get away with buying more than the alleged quota. And so I'm sure we'll see that again. And I know that there are certain VVIPs at Hermes who the same thing, the quota does not really apply to them. But Hermes is much, much stricter with that 2-bag a year quota. And now allegedly it's even 1 bag a year. But like, they definitely crack down on that. The people who normally get around that are people who go to Paris and get leather appointments. Hermes is good at enforcing that, and Chanel has not been. This is not the first time they've announced some sort of quota and then not really stuck to it. I mean, we have all seen the resellers who have 5 of the exact same classic flap. And maybe they are using different people to buy them, which could definitely be their way around it, but still, it is very, very suspicious. And I just don't think that the quota is going to really affect much of anyone unless you're someone who is just starting out your Chanel collection, someone who only will buy in boutique and only wants classic flaps. Then, yes, it's going to affect you, but I wouldn't be surprised if you couldn't find a sales associate who was willing to remove that quota for you and or, you know, let your husband under his account or your boyfriend or your friend buy 2 for you. I could see it happening. So I really don't think that this is that big of a deal for most people. I think it's, to me, it's Chanel like a little too late for you guys to try to be Hermes, and it's not going to work in my personal opinion. And then the second is these stores for VIPs only. So when I read this, I know people were really outraged by this, but to me, it didn't seem, and it doesn't seem crazy because Chanel has always treated their VIP clients better. For example, VIP clients always get access early to sale items before the general public or before someone who's in the store. Even before just like a normal customer, the VIPs do get access to the sale items before, and that's something Chanel has done for years, so I don't think that's that weird. Also, in general, you know, Chanel has said they don't do pre-sale, they don't do all this, which clearly they're still doing, and VIPs have always gotten access and will always get the pieces they want before their normal customers or someone who is not even a customer yet with Chanel. So treating their VIPs differently doesn't seem odd to me, and I know in certain boutiques even, like, there are different rooms that VIPs get taken to versus a normal person. So having a VIP only store, like, really does not surprise me. And I really don't think it is going to be that big of a deal. All these brands have always catered to their VIPs, and to think they haven't is crazy. Like I said, rules do not apply to VIPs. And so they've always kind of gotten around the quotas. They always do kind of have their own shopping experience. So I think having a shop that is just for VIPs is like just par for the course. And maybe it's just me and I'm just so over Chanel and how they handle things. And I'll see things that are cute, but I'm like, but it's Chanel. And then I don't really want to buy it. Would I buy Chanel sale things still? Yes. But there's also a lot of rumors that sale last time wasn't even open to most people, and this time will definitely not be, especially in the United States, open to most people. So we'll see what happens there, but none of this surprises me, and I think Chanel is, I know they turned a profit. I don't know if it was last quarter or last year, but I remember seeing the article, but that's because their prices have gone up so much. I'd be interested to see how much they're actually selling and how long their pricing strategy is sustainable for. So I would love to know your guys' opinions down below, what you think of all this new Chanel news. Is it bother you at all? Does it not affect you? Do you not really care? I'm definitely more like too little, too late, doesn't really affect me, don't really care train. But I know for some people, especially if they're just starting their collection, this could be very, very annoying. But then, like I will say, go Preloved. And I know people are always worried about super fakes with Preloved. Go to people you trust. Go to Fashion Pile. Go to Rebag. Go to the places that have really, really good authentication, and then if you're worried, get it authenticated again. There are lots of options out there for you, and there are authentication services that allow you to send in your bag if that's, you know, you're worried that pictures aren't enough. There are services out there that can help you. So just something to keep in mind. But if you like this sort of chatty video, if you like handbag reviews, handbag reveals, handbag comparisons, please make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell so we get notified every time. So you get notified every time I upload a new video, which is twice a week. If you want to see how I style my pieces or chat with me, please make sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and my blog, all of which are linked down below. Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.